Amelia Hayes had always been the kind of girl who carried the weight of the world on her shoulders but never let anyone see her struggle. At 22, she was juggling a full load of college classes, 2 part-time jobs, and taking care of her younger brother after their parents' sudden passing 3 years ago. She had no time for distractions, no time for fun, and certainly no time for herself. Every day felt like a test she was barely passing. But on that chilly Tuesday morning, as she sat in the campus medical clinic waiting for her routine exam, the walls around her finally began to crumble. She hadn't eaten breakfast. She had barely slept. Her body had been begging for rest, but Amelia's stubborn heart kept whispering, "Keep going. Your brother needs you. Don't stop now." She climbed up on the cold exam table, clutching her worn backpack like a lifeline. The nurse smiled gently and told her the doctor would be right in. But Amelia's vision blurred, her pulse raced, and before she could steady herself, her world went dark. When she opened her eyes, she saw them. A pair of warm, steady, caring eyes. Eyes that held no judgment, only concern. The face above her was striking, handsome in a way that wasn't just about looks but about presence. The man wore a white coat, his stethoscope dangling casually as if it had been waiting for this moment all along. "You're okay," the doctor's calm voice reassured her. "You fainted, but you're safe now. I've got you." Amelia's throat tightened. She blinked rapidly, half in embarrassment, half in awe of the kindness radiating from this stranger. His name was Dr. Ethan Carter. Dr. Carter had seen countless patients in his years at the clinic, students overwhelmed by finals, young athletes pushing their limits, teenagers struggling silently with mental health. But something about Amelia was different. She looked fragile, yet there was an undeniable strength in her eyes when she finally sat up, whispering apologies for wasting his time. "You're not wasting anyone's time," Dr. Carter said firmly. "But I need you to be honest with me. When's the last time you had a proper meal? Or a full night's sleep?" Amelia hesitated. No one had asked her that in years. People saw her grades, her responsibilities, her determination, and assumed she was fine. But Ethan's eyes searched deeper. "I can't remember," she admitted softly. The doctor's heart sank. He had trained to treat the body, but he had also promised himself to never ignore the soul behind it. Amelia wasn't just a patient, she was a young woman trying to keep her world together with trembling hands. Over the next few weeks, Amelia found herself back in that clinic more than once, sometimes for checkups, sometimes for advice she didn't know she needed. And every time, Ethan was there with his quiet patience and unwavering compassion. He noticed the way she always carried a second-hand notebook stuffed with math problems and English essays. He noticed how her shoes were worn, but she never complained. And he noticed how her eyes always softened when she mentioned her little brother, Jacob. One day, after finishing her exam results, Ethan leaned forward. "Amelia, forgive me for saying this, but you're burning yourself out. You can't keep living on caffeine, stress, and sheer willpower. You need support. You need rest." She laughed bitterly. "Rest isn't an option. Jacob's only 14. He needs me. If I don't work, we don't eat. If I don't study, I lose my scholarship. There's no room to breathe, doctor." Her voice cracked, and for the first time, Amelia let the mask slip. Ethan didn't push further. Instead, he said something she never expected. "Sometimes, the strongest thing we can do, is ask for help." A week later, Amelia was running late to one of her jobs at a local diner. The double shift was brutal, but she smiled through the exhaustion, reminding herself it was all for Jacob. What she didn't know was that Dr. Carter had quietly stopped by, not to interfere, but to understand the world she carried. He watched as she balanced trays with shaky hands, forced a tired smile at rude customers, and slipped a free slice of pie to a homeless man who hadn't eaten all day. That night, when Amelia left the diner, Ethan caught up with her. "You gave away food when you can barely afford your own," he said softly. Amelia shrugged. He looked hungrier than me. Ethan smiled, his heart swelling with admiration. You're extraordinary, Amelia. But even extraordinary people deserve care too. The turning point came one rainy evening. Jacob had been struggling in school, and Amelia was at her breaking point trying to tutor him while finishing her own assignments. The weight of responsibility pressed so heavily that she felt her chest tighten again. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I can't do this anymore." Jacob, scared, called the only number he knew that might help, Dr. Carter's clinic. Within half an hour, Ethan was at their doorstep, umbrella in hand. He didn't come as a doctor. He came as a human being who refused to let this young woman collapse alone. He brought food, helped Jacob with his homework, and made Amelia sit down to eat for the first time in days. When she broke down, sobbing that she wasn't enough, Ethan gently took her hand. "You are enough," he said firmly. "You've carried more than anyone your age should. But you don't have to carry it alone anymore." Over time, Ethan connected Amelia with support programs, tutoring services for Jacob, financial assistance for students in crisis, and even community volunteers who wanted to help. For the first time since her parents' passing, Amelia felt the crushing weight begin to lift. But what truly healed her was not just the resources, it was Ethan's unwavering belief in her. His presence reminded her that kindness still existed, that even when life was cruel, humanity could be gentle. Their bond deepened, not rushed, not romanticized, but built on quiet moments of trust. The way he always checked if she had eaten. The way she teased him about his serious doctor face. The way Jacob started looking at him as the older brother he never had. One evening, as the three of them sat on the porch watching the sunset, Jacob whispered, "Amelia, I like him. He makes you smile again." Amelia's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in years, she realized she wasn't just surviving. She was living. Months later, Amelia stood at her college graduation, her little brother cheering loudly from the crowd. As she looked out, she spotted Dr. Carter smiling proudly, his hands clasped as if he'd always believed she'd make it here. And in that moment, Amelia knew something profound. Sometimes, the people who change our lives aren't the ones we've known forever, they're the ones who show up when we're about to fall apart and remind us that we're worth saving. The heartfelt message. Life has a way of pushing us to the edge, making us believe we must carry our burdens alone. But true strength is not in silent suffering, it's in opening our hearts to kindness, in allowing others to walk beside us when we can no longer walk alone. Amelia fainted on an exam table that day, but in the caring eyes of a doctor, she found more than medical help, she found compassion, hope, and a reminder that humanity is at its best when it chooses to care. And maybe, just maybe, love begins not with fireworks, but with the simple act of one soul saying to another, "You don't have to do this alone."